We're talking Florida Gators today on Sharpen the Point. 2024, it was an 8-5 season. Rocky start to the year there, but they finished out with 4 straight wins, 2 of which were ranked opponents, and that was a big boost for them when everyone said it looked like the toughest finish to a schedule in college football history coming into the year. Billy Napier enters his 4th season, slightly off the hot seat. He was firmly on it a year ago. Looking at quarterback, Graham Mertz, he was the starter to begin the season last year before an injury forced an early end to his year and his career. That led to an earlier path to playing time than anticipated for highly touted 5-star true freshman DJ Lagway. He did well enough in his first taste of action to show that he should be the starter going forward for as long as he is in Gainesville. In the 6 games that Lagway led the team in passing, they were 6-0 in those games. He did start a 7th game. That was Georgia, but he left early with an injury. That's led to a ton of offseason hype and expectations being placed upon him. Lagway was banged up during the season with a hamstring issue, which may have suppressed his numbers some, but I want to see him put a full quality game together against a solid P4 opponent before bestowing the titles that many have placed upon him. He needs to improve his ability of handling zone coverage and overall reading of defenses for this to get better. We saw some flashes during his first season, but the same could be said for a number of quarterbacks who were expected to make a leap last season. Eyes on Nico Iamaleava, Jackson Arnold, just to name a couple, only for them to fall flat on their face. He was limited during the spring with a shoulder issue that's causing him to be rested from throwing, but he's expected to be a full go for fall camp, although it's not going to be fixed, and he's going to need to be managed throughout the season as there was no corrective surgery in the offseason. I'm not down on Lagway as a prospect, but rather I feel that most of the population is just far too high on him and setting themselves up for disappointment relative to where they should be with him. Harrison Bailey, he comes over from Louisville. He was brought in to provide a veteran presence behind Lagway. He's well-traveled with backup stints at Tennessee, UNLV, and Louisville, but not much experience as a starter. Bailey does have a strong arm, and he's accurate with his ball placement, making him capable of stepping up if needed to operate the offense. Running back-wise, heading into last season, it was supposed to be the Montrell Johnson show with Jacoby Jackson and maybe a freshman stepping in to get their feet wet, but that all went out the window when Johnson went down with an injury. The primary beneficiary was Jaden Baugh. He seized the opportunity and took over the job, establishing himself as the top back in a good room with over 500 yards rushing in the final 7 games of the season, including that 5-touchdown game against Kentucky. Baugh is an extremely gifted runner with a massive ceiling, and he should be the lead back on a good offense. But with the talent around him, they're definitely going to continue to split work here more than I would like with Baugh. Jacoby Jackson, he's the clear elder statesman in the room as a senior with no juniors behind him, forcing him into a more leadership role. He's going to be the number 2 in this rotation behind Baugh, but he's going to get plenty of work. Jackson finished the year strong with 2 of his best rushing games coming to close out the season, and he scored a touchdown in 4 of those last 6 games. He's going to look to carry that momentum into this season, mixing in on early downs, with more usage expected on 3rd down and 2-minute situations where his pass catching capability is going to be more utilized. Pass catcher wise, the starting group of Elijah Badger, Shamir DK, and Eugene Wilson was solid, with Badger and DK being the most productive, as each finished right around that 800-yard mark. They both now depart for the NFL, leaving Wilson as the top returning option. Wilson did not have the near amount the success in his second season as he did in his first, as a congenital hip issue limited him to 4 games in a redshirt season. In those 4 games, though, he was the primary target earner, continuing the trend of the previous year, and what I believe we will again see this season. If healthy, Wilson is a target earner out of the slot, as he has the ability to use his quick burst to get in and out of cuts and create separation. His ability after the catch cannot be understated as well. He's capable of taking it to the house at any point in time. He practiced daily during the spring, albeit in a non-contact jersey, but he looked like his usual self making diving catches. They just wanted to limit his contact and a capability of being injured during the spring. J. Michael Sturdivant, he comes from UCLA. He's going to start at one of the outside spots, similar to what Badger and Pearsall, hoping to reinvent that. He provides a veteran presence to the room with 30 starts in his career. He had a breakout season at Cal with 755 yards and 7 touchdowns in his first year, but he struggled once he got to UCLA as the quarterback play was plagued with accuracy woes. They only had a 52% of his targets being catchable. Sturdivant's going to operate in that intermediate passing area. He's not exactly a deep threat, and it's safe to assume with improved quarterback play that his numbers are going to be much closer to his time at Cal than they were at UCLA. Returners Khalil Jackson and Aiden Mizell, they're going to be a part of the rotation certainly, but it's the freshman recruiting class that's going to generate a lot of buzz here. Dallas Wilson and Vernell Brown, they're the clear top 2 to me in that class. The younger Wilson, he's a 5-star prospect with the size at 6'3" to contribute right away on the outside. And he was the clear standout of the spring game with a 10-catch, 195-yard, 2-touchdown line, a school record. And he's competing right away with Jackson for that starting role on the outside. And if there are any lingering issues with the ACL tear Jackson is coming back from, then Wilson could start week 1. Brown, he has a more difficult path to playing time as a slot, but he did start the spring game there with Eugene Wilson sideline. He could be deployed in more gadget situations to get his hands on the ball, similar to what Eugene Wilson did his first year. But realistically, Eugene's going to be the top target in this offense. Tight end Hayden Hansen, he remains the lead guy, but he's more of a blocker than a receiving option. And then Tony Livingston, he has more upside as a pass catcher here. He grabbed 11 of his 16 targets last season with 2 going for touchdowns. I think he's more worked in. Offensive line-wise, 4 of the starting 5 from last season's group return, along with almost all of its contributing depth. This unit was highly talented and ranked one of the best in the country in run blocking metrics. And with so much stability from a quality unit, there's no reason to expect anything but continued great play here from this line. It really all starts with the man in the middle. Center Jake Slaughter, he's coming off a first-team All-American season. I think he's primed to do it again. He's going to, again, be the leader of this unit. On either side of him, you got Kanijo Harris and Damian George. They're going to man the guard spots. George initially flirted with entering the portal before opting to stay. His move from tackle to guard was beneficial for the unit as a whole, but his season was cut short due to injuries late in the year. The tackles, they're looking to be Austin Barber and Bryce Lovett. Barber is going to return, looking to increase his draft stock with solid play on the blind side there. And Lovett is the new man of the group at right tackle. He's not without experience, though, as he stepped in multiple times towards the end of the season due to injuries, and that ended up netting him a freshman all-SEC honors. Lovett can play guard or tackle. He appears to be the favorite to start, though, with injuries to other potential options limiting them. Defensive line-wise, this line was the best of the 3 defensive position groups a year ago with a deep, productive room. They had 12 players getting over 100 snaps last season, so they really rotated guys in and out of the lineup here. They do lose several significant parts to their success from a year last season, but they managed to retain some quality talent that could have bolted for the next level. The top returner off the edge is Tyreek Sapp. He quietly put together a breakout season, leading the team in sacks with 7 and tackles for loss with 13. His play, much like the rest of the defense as a whole, really improved over the back half of the season, with most of his numbers coming in the final 3 regular season games. Joining him on the edge is George Gums. He was a former walk-on tight end at Northern Illinois, so he doesn't have a ton of experience off of the edge, but he was one of their most consistent pass rushers last season. They didn't expect it, but it was a pleasant surprise to get that production they did out of him with 5 sacks. And then getting Caleb Banks to return for his senior season, that was a big deal given how his draft stock was rising. Banks was one of the faces of the defense and a catalyst for that late play and how well it was last year. He played his best down the stretch, much like most of this defense did. They do lose the big man in the middle, Desmond Watson. He was fun to watch, but they do have returners, Jamari Lyons coming off a severe ankle injury in fall camp last season, DeAndre Robinson and Michael Boyu. I think that those guys will be able to fill in for the big man. Linebacker-wise, the second level of the defense left plenty to be desired last season, even though they were improved over past years. 2 contributors in Shamar James and Derek Wingo, they're now gone, leaving the keys to the younger talent to step up here. Grayson Howard, he's the clear leader in the room, calling the plays from his mic spot. Who's going to join him in the lineup is still somewhat up in the air, though. Miles Graham was an instant contributor as a freshman, eventually leading to him being named a freshman All-SEC performer. Graham's my choice to start next to Howard, given his size, speed, and athleticism translate perfectly to that off-ball spot he's going to be asked to play. Other names of note here, though, are Jaden Robinson and Aaron Childs. Robinson played plenty last season, even starting a few games, but he's best suited as a Mike, and I think that he's more likely to rotate in with Howard than play next to him. And then Childs was mostly a special teams contributor last season. He's now going to be in a primary backup role on that weak side. Secondary-wise, they got better as the season went along, but they did lack a true standout playmaker as injuries really took their toll, forcing young talent into the lineup. They do not lose much outside of top corner Jason Marshall, but were without him for much of the season anyway. Devin Moore, he's the leader of the quarterback group, and he really needs to stay healthy and available for them to have success here. Moore's a talented player, but has consistently struggled to stay on the field, missing extended periods of time. And while out of the lineup last season, he used that opportunity to work on his mental game and leadership skills. His counterpart's going to be Dejon Johnson. He started 5 games last year. He brings a physical play style with a willingness to stick his nose in the run game. And behind them, the question remains as to where former 5-star Kermani McLean stands. Coaches raved about his offseason performance, and his change in physique by adding weight, he just comes with a lot of baggage. If he can keep building upon that positive momentum, though, he should start to see more significant playing time here. There's a competition at nickel with Sharif Denson and Aaron Gates vying for that role. Each of the two started a number of games a year ago, giving them experience. Denson filled the stat sheet in his 6 starts as a physical defensive back, and he's the most likely to start for me. Gates was well on his way to a solid season, starting 5 games before being hit by the injury bug. And he was dynamic when on the field, though, so if healthy, he's definitely going to rotate in plenty. Safety's one of the stronger units on this team. Jordan Castell, he's the top of the list. He's been producing since he stepped foot on campus, and with 2 full seasons of SEC play under his belt, he now needs to become a leader in the room as the group's going to lean on him. If he can have another impact season, he's going to move up draft boards and get a nice high pick in that first couple rounds. Bryce Thornton, he's likely to start next to him after making 5 starts last year. He had a huge game against Ole Miss, and he's going to look to build upon his late season success as a dynamic duo with Castell. And then keep an eye on Michael Caraway. He comes from Southern Miss. He started 10 games there last season. He's the lone transfer addition to this room. Caraway is the oldest player in the room. He could very well play an important role off the field than even on it in the form of mentorship and leading while being a rotational depth piece here. Looking at the schedule and outlook, on offense, they have a legit quarterback prospect finally at Florida, and that's a big deal. They have plenty of talent at the skill positions to give him support and a quality offensive line that benefits greatly from the unexpected return of Jake Slaughter. I have confidence that the run game is going to remain strong, but there's still questions to be answered in the pass game as we need to see Lagway reach the heights expected of him, and these wide receivers need to play up to their potential and remain on the field in the case of Eugene Wilson. The defense lost some solid personnel to the NFL and portal, but returns enough talent from a unit that started out last year as a dumpster fire only to end it on fire in a good way. If Banks and Sapp can get after the quarterback consistently and Graham can be who I think he can, then this could really be a solid unit overall. Schedule-wise, Long Island, easy win. Just get Lagway out by the second quarter and you've already got this thing wrapped up. They're going to run the heck out of it there. South Florida, that's a win. Just make sure to keep Byron Brown in check and you've got things handled there. At LSU, I'm going to lean loss. Lagway is not Nussmeier yet. It's going to take time. They have a fighting chance if the run game can really take advantage of LSU's defense. I just think Whit Week snuffs out enough and they take care of business in Tiger Stadium. At Miami, I'm going to lean win. I feel like it should be a guaranteed win. I just think that Beck is not going to be good enough and they have a severe lack of weapons on that offense. Texas, that's a loss. Texas is the benchmark in the SEC right now. at Texas A&M. I'm giving it a coin flip. I'm not necessarily a Marcel Reed fan. I think Lagway is better. I just think that they have a lot of weapons and a similarly quality run game. Defenses are similar. So on the road makes it a coin flip. Mississippi State win. Georgia, another top three. I mean, you face the top three in the SEC. That's a loss for me. At Kentucky, win. At Ole Miss, I think that's a coin flip. I would lean win, but it's a battle of the young quarterbacks. I'd really prefer if this game was in the swamp, not on the road. But I would lean win, but it's a coin flip game, sub-3 spread likely. Tennessee win. Florida State, easy win. I think Florida State's probably quit by that point. They did last year. They might as well again this year. You know, this schedule is again very tough by facing arguably the top 3 teams in the SEC. I think 6 wins is a guarantee with another 3 in question that will lean their way if Lagway performs up to the public's expectations and hype on him. And anything less than 9 wins is really going to be a disappointment for the fan base. But to me, that feels more like the ceiling given all the coin flip games. You know, the 3 coin flips, 4 if you include LSU, they're all on the road. That makes this a tougher road rather than having those games at home. Either way, we're going to learn a lot about the program's future under Napier this season.